velkommen til Boss & Bitter. Mit navn det er Morten Stig Jensen, og i dag der er vi ude i det første afsnit af de her små mini-afsnit, som udkommer hver tirsdag, onsdag og torsdag. De varer omtrent 20 minutter, nogle gange en lille smule mere, nogle gange en lille smule mindre. Her i dag kan det godt være, at vi kommer en lille smule over, fordi jeg har nemlig et interview til jer med selveste Jamal Crawford. Og det varer cirka 12 minutter, og vi skal igennem nogle andre ting for inden, så jeg håber, at vi har tid. Og vi skal starte med slutspillet, og vi skal også lige snakke om Wemby, der selvfølgelig vinder Rookie of the Year. Vi starter med Indiana Pacers, New York Knicks. Knicks vinder 121-117 i kamp 1, og vi bliver bare nødt til at tage et kort lille øjeblik og klappe i vores små, fede hænder af Jalen Brunson her. 43 point, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, styrer fuldstændig spillet fra start til slut. Det kan godt være, at han ikke er den her traditionelle point guard, der går ud og får så 12 assists og holder sig til de der 18-20 point. Men det betyder ikke desto mindre, at han ikke er en elite floor leader, hvad end man nu har lyst til at kalde ham. Han spiller fuldstændig fænomenalt. Det her, det er hans 4. kamp i træk med over 40, og hvis vi går tilbage til de sidste 5, ja, så den sidste 5'er der, det var altså 39 points kamp, så hvis vi er lidt gavmild, så kan vi sige, at det er 40 point over de sidste 5. Det er i hvert fald over 40 i snit. Jeg tror, det er 42 point i snit over de sidste 5. Uden tvivl den bedste spiller i slutspillet indtil videre, og jeg ved godt, der er folk, der vil sige, Anthony Edwards, ja, 100%, han er deroppe af, han er fuldstændig genial. Brunson har været bedre. Sorry, han har simpelthen været bedre. I Indiana, der er... ja, jeg griner lidt, fordi man bliver nødt til at grine for ikke at græde. Der ser det virkelig ikke godt ud med Tyrese Halliburton. Han er tydeligvis en eller anden form for skade over, så jeg tror, det var det knæet eller låret stadigvæk. 6 point, 8 assist, 4 steals på 36 minutter, tager kun 6 skud, er tilbageholden, er ikke aggressiv, søger ikke efter sit skud, er virkelig bare en, der står mere og kigger og kalder spil ud. Bevares, det gør han dirigerer spillet, men der er ikke rigtig noget at komme efter der. Det er Miles Turner, det er Pascal Siakam, det er TJ McConnell, som der ligesom bærer det her angreb. Og når man ligesom har en TJ McConnell med på den liste, som en, der bærer angrebet, så er man i problemer. Og det siger jeg som en kæmpe McConnell-fan. Han er nok den bedste backup point guard i hele ligaen. Men han er ikke en spiller, som der går ind og er meget dynamisk offensiv. Så hvis han er en af de mennesker, som du lægger din lid til rent offensivt, så er det altså oppe bakke, og det er der ikke noget at gøre ved for Pacers, fordi hvad kan de gøre? Hvad er alternativet? Man kan ikke tvinge Halliburton til de pludselig at blive rask. Det er rigtig dårlig timing for dem. Det er dårlig timing for Halliburton også i sig selv, især efter den sæson, han havde. De første 30 kampe deromkring, der lå han på 26 point og 12 assists deromkring, lignede en All-NBA-kaliberspiller. Så begyndte skaderne at hobe sig op, og det eneste, jeg håber på nuværende tidspunkt, det er bare, at han kommer rask tilbage næste år, fordi det her, det ser grumt ud. En sidste pointe til den her serie, og det her, det var jo kamp 1, så vi har en del kampe foran os, det er, jeg er altså ret glad for det her Knicks-hold uden Randall, og jeg ved godt, der er mange derude, der ryster på hovedet og ruller med øjnene og tænker, Morten, kører nu på den der igen. Jamen, det gør jeg, fordi bolden kører mere igennem Brunson og Josh Hart nu, som et resultat af, at Randall ikke er der. Og hvis vi sidder og kigger på de kampe, hvordan spillet faktisk former sig, når at beslutningerne tages igennem Brunson og Hart, så er det rigtig solide beslutninger. Altså, Josh Hart er ikke en spiller, som der er, hvad skal man sige, irrationel i sin beslutningsproces. Han er meget kalkulerende, han kan aflevere for overalt på banen, inden for posten af, ud for træeren, når han er on the go. Der er ikke rigtig et hul der, hvor man kan pege og så sige, hey, du er rigtig dårlig til at playmake lige der. Jeg tror, vi som NBA-samfund har lidt for travlt til at kigge på hans rebounding og på hans slashing, og så siger vi, om det er, hvem Josh Hart er. Nej, playmaking er et kæmpe element af, hvem han er. Han er en elite connector, som man nu kalder det. Og når du så kaster Brunson med ind i sammenhængen, og det er ham og Brunson, der tager størstedelen af beslutningerne, og du har en Dante DiVincenzo, som der spiller af de to, og er en eliteskytte, samt en OG Anunoby, som der rykker sig rigtig solidt off-ball, jamen så kigger vi altså bare på et hold, der er langt mere effektivt, tror jeg i hvert fald, end hvis Randall havde været derude. Han holder meget på bolden, han malker uret en del, og det her Knicks-hold har langt mere pop i sig, altså det er hurtige beslutninger, det er konsekvente beslutninger. Jeg er fuldstændig pjattet med, hvordan de spiller lige nu. Så kudos til New York for at tage kamp 1 her. Det er trist med Pacers og Halliburton. Det kunne være fedt, hvis de kommer ind i den her serie. Det kunne være fedt, hvis Halliburton lige pludselig begynder at føle sig bedre tilpas. Men jeg sætter spørgsmålstegn til det, fordi puha en kamp. Altså simpelthen puha. Der var ikke meget at komme efter der. Så er det Minnesota Timberwolves og Denver Nuggets i kamp 2. Og jeg griner igen. Den her gang er det ikke for at grine for ikke at græde. Her er det, fordi jeg er så hammerende imponeret over Minnesota Timberwolves. Det her er et hold, der igennem grundspillet var meget gennemsnitslige, når det kommer til deres offensive kunde. De havde ikke rigtig nogen, der kunne træde op. I hvert fald ikke sådan som tredje mand. Hvis det skulle være nogen, så skulle det være Nars Reed, men han kom fra bænken af. Det har de som sådan stadigvæk ikke. Men hvad de nu har, det er en gruppe af spillere, som der kan træde op individuelt fra kamp til kamp. Så her i kamp 2 for eksempel, der var det Nickeil Alexander-Walker, ham har vi set træde op før, men der var det bare hans tur i nat, 14 point, 6 rebounds, 3 blocks, han ramte 4 træer på 30 minutter fra bænken af. Nars Reed med de 14, det er ligesom lidt forventet. Og så var det 27 hver især for Karl Anthony Towns og Anthony Edwards, som der måtte levere lidt, fordi at Rudy Gobert, han missede kampen på grund af ankomsten af hans første søn, mener jeg det var. Så tillykke til Rudy Gobert med familieforøgelsen. Jeg er bare imponeret her. Altså, Towns går ind og tager den centerposition. Han spiller langt bedre forsvar, end han plejer at gøre, men han har også en lidt højere skudvolumen her i kamp 2, som er det, jeg har savnet for ham gennem slutspillet. Hvis I har hørt gårsdagens afsnit af Morten og Jonas Boss & Beater-programmet, jamen så var det også noget, vi snakkede om der. Jeg synes, Towns leverede til forventninger her i nat. 27 point, som sagt, 12 rebounds, 2 blocks, sat 3 træer og var effektivt for gulvet. Edwards var Edwards, som han nu skal være, men det er altså den her gruppering af spillere fra bænken af, som der nu hver især kan træde op, når det er påkrævet. Jeg er begyndt at være af den tro, at Minnesota Timberwolves nok kommer til at repræsentere Western Conference i finalerne, og det er altså, det troede jeg ikke, jeg ville sige. Det troede jeg ikke. Altså, det her hold har taget et kodylt skridt op fra grundspillet til slutspillet. Og her vil jeg altså gerne lige påpege noget. Hvis man sidder derude og siger, men det så jeg komme det her. Nej, stop. Lad være med at lyve, for det var der ikke nogen, der gjorde. Det her hold er bogstaveligt talt det bedste offensive hold af nogen hold i slutspillet her. De har den bedste true shooting percentage, de har den bedste offensive ranking. Et true shooting percentage for slutspillet er på over 60. Altså, det her er et hold, der lige pludselig rykkede sig 10-12 pladser, bare på en uges penge, og så ryger ind i slutspillet og fastholder det niveau. Sorry, men det her, det strider mod, altså, hvad vi kender til. Det her er noget helt nyt. Der er ikke nogen hold, der har taget sådan et skridt op før på samme måde. Hvad Wolves gør lige nu, det er, at de fastholder deres defensive indflydelse og effektivitet, og så tilføjer de simpelthen elite offensiv produktion. Normalt så er det en give and take, det her, og det har det bare ikke været her i slutspillet. De har trådt fuldstændig op og har bare kun tilføjet. Det er genialt. Jeg ved ikke, hvor meget tid jeg egentlig skal bruge på Denver her. Meget, meget skuffende. De kollapser fuldstændig i andet kvartal. De får noget modstand der, og det var egentlig et OK kompetitivt første kvartal. Andet kvartal, der falder de fuldstændig fra hinanden. Der er ikke nogen, der træder op. Det virker som om, de bare venter på, at kampen er overstået. Hvilket slet ikke ligner dem overhovedet. Det her, det er et hold, der gennem de sidste par år, og hvis de har været nede med 10-15 point, selv 20, jamen så har de bare kigget lidt på hinanden og sagt, nå, men skal vi tænde for den her knap lige nu? Ja, lad os gøre det. Det har de simpelthen ikke gjort her i den her serie mod Minnesota. Jeg ved ikke, hvad der sker. Jamal Murray begynder at smide sådan nogle varmepakker og håndklæder ud på banen. Han begynder at brokke sig til dommerne. Jeg tror altså, der er en risiko for, at han godt kunne blive suspenderet for kamp 3. Det vil i hvert fald ikke være ufortjent. Det må man sige. Det er en uheldig situation, at han mister hovedet på den måde, at man forventer mere af en spiller med den form for niveau og erfaring også. Altså, du er en defending champion. Hvad laver du? Det er pinligt, og det er grinagtigt, at han ikke kan træde mere op på den måde. Jeg ved godt, at han selv er skadet, og jeg ved godt, at han er frustreret, men hvis han ender med at blive suspenderet i kamp 3, hvor serien vinder til Minnesota, jamen så gør du bare ikke dit hold nogen former for tjenester, så er du faktisk et kæmpe problem for dit hold. Jeg havde slet ikke forestillet mig et Denver-kollaps på den her måde. Det er en smule fascinerende at se på, vil jeg være helt ærlig og sige, men ikke desto mindre, her kigger vi på en meget dominerende føring. 2-0 på udebane for Minnesota. Nu skal de til hjem igen, og de kan teknisk set lukke den ud hjemme, hvis det er det, de har lyst til. Denver har noget at skulle sige om det, men de sidder i hvert fald i førersædet lige nu. Jeg håber, at det her bliver til en serie, fordi jeg havde egentlig ventet lidt på den her. Det kunne være fedt, at den her gik langt, men det tror jeg faktisk ikke, den gør. Så er det Rookie of the Year-tid, og gæt hvem der vandt den pris. Victor Wembanyama. Selvfølgelig gjorde han det fuldstændig velfortjent. Vi taler her om en spiller, der havde en af de bedste rookie-sæsoner nogensinde i historien af spillet. Og hvad der gør mit hjerte ekstra glad, det er, at alle stemte på ham som den her first place vote. At der ikke var nogen, der valgte at være stedig og sige, jeg stemmer på amerikaneren ved nummer 2. Jeg tror måske, det også har noget at gøre med, at stemmerne de bliver offentliggjort på et tidspunkt, så man kan se, hvem der har stemt på hvad. Og jeg tror, der er rigtig mange amerikanske sportsjournalister, der sidder og tænker, okay, jeg ved, at jeg vil blive fuldstændig torn apart på de sociale medier, hvis det viser sig, at jeg har stemt på Chet eller Brandon Miller, eller hvem end. Fuldstændig den rigtige kald her. Han var den bedste rookie med længder. Der er ikke noget at sige. Jeg elsker, at han får den pris. Nu er spørgsmålet bare, om han også kommer til at vinde Defensive Player of the Year. Det kunne være genialt, hvis det er der, vi når til. Og nu for at lukke det hele af, så har jeg et interview med Jamal Crawford, som jeg snakkede med her i sidste uge. Og han er simpelthen så flink. Vi snakkede om hans nye projekt, i sæson 2, hans nye projekt, der hedder Chasing History, hvor at han simpelthen sidder og laver voiceover på nogle af de programmer, som der kommer på NBA-appen. Og Chasing History er et program, som der følger slutspillet, faktisk postseason, hvor man inkluderer play-in også. Og det er et produkt, der er skruet godt sammen, hedder det. Og det, jeg vil anbefale, hvis man har League Pass, at gå ind og tjekke det ud. Det er super godt. I hvert fald, så her, der har vi mit interview med Jamal Crawford. Jamal Crawford, thank you so much for joining me here. Really appreciate you taking the time. You obviously have had a very storied NBA career. Now you've transitioned into being a broadcaster and a narrator as well. Could you talk a little bit about how that transition has gone? Because first you were out there dropping 50 and suddenly you're in a studio setting. I mean, that has to be a world life changing affair.
It absolutely was. It's interesting because I wasn't the guy who thought he would be doing this when I was playing. You know, they're like, okay, start preparing for the end of your NBA career. I thought I'd be a GM, to be honest with you, or be in the front office. And I've always thought that pretty much my whole career. I always loved putting teams together and visualizing what it would be like. And I thought that was it. And when I didn't get a call to play again, I had gotten the rhythm of being home a lot. And I I'm home more than usual. I'm coaching my son now. And TNT came, was like, hey, why don't you sub in for Charles? I'm like, okay, sounds weird, but all right, that's Charles Barkley, I up for him, right? But it was like, okay, I'll jump on the show. Then I think Candace Man missed a couple. I'm like, come on back. I'm like, okay, so I subbed in, still didn't think anything about it. And then there was one day in particular, I remember I was like, oh, wow, I kind of like this feeling. And I got bit by the bug. And as fate would have it, I ended up signing a contract with TNT beginning of last year. And it's just been great. And it's been unbelievable because they've allowed me to grow. I was signed off as an analyst, right, to do halftime, pregame, postgame stuff. And then I start doing sideline reporting. I did sideline reporting at the All-Star game. Now I'm writing for NBA.com. I have Crawford's Couch. I'm a narrator now, which is one of the coolest things I'm sure we'll get into. And now I'm commentating games. And I'm up there with Kevin Harlan and Reggie Miller. And to me, they're some of the voices of the game. They're on 2K and all the big moments, you hear them. It's they're the soundtrack, they're the score of the game. And now I'm up here with these two legends and I'm learning from them every single day. We're having fun. They've welcomed me. They've been so gracious and welcomed me in because it's been those two for so long. So I'm just honored. This has been a dream. And now that I'm in this space, I want to be as good as I was in basketball, to be honest with you.
So it seems like the transition was rather seamless.
It was, and it was seamless after going through a bit of kind of depression, to be honest with you. As far as I know I could still play. I won Teammate of the Year. Besides the 51-point game, I averaged 31 my last month in the league, even at 39 off the bench. So I'm like, I know I can still play. You can't question my character. Why am I not signing? Oh, and by the way, 6 of these same teams want me in their front office. So it was just I couldn't figure it out, and that was bothersome. But once I got over that and threw myself into coaching my son and doing TV, I'm like, this is the perfect balance for me. And it's been great. So yeah, once I got rolling, it was definitely seamless.
And now you're adding narrator to your resume. You are a part of the program Chasing History on the NBA app. The NBA obviously has made a huge commitment to building out League Pass, the app in itself, with additional content. You're the voice behind that. Could you give us a little bit of insight how that came to, and are you looking to do more on the NBA app as well?
Yeah, well, I have NBA relationships, obviously playing 20 years. And then just on this side of it, Hooper Vision with Q Richardson and Bill Patton, those guys, is one of the first things I did, like on camera. And it's so weird looking back now because at the time it was like an alt cast, but we were just basically calling the game. And I didn't even know what calling the game was. We were just watching and talking the game and see different things and breaking things down. And so I have relationships with them. And Bill approached me about doing Chasing History. And without hesitation, we're like, yes. And for me, I'm a student of the game. So the game is the most important thing in the world to me, but I'm really big on things that were around the game. I remember, Ahmad Rashad's voice on different things, NBA features, and Marv Albert's voice on different NBA features, and Kevin Harlan's on different calls. So to be looked at in that space, right, where they're like, hey, this is a big thing we're doing, it's Chasing History. We want you to be the narrator, the voice behind it. I hold in the highest regard because it's such a piece. It's such a staple, will be such a staple going forward, especially for this generation. And for them to say, you know what, we want you to do it. I every time I do it, I'm smiling. I really am. And I'm like, when I send it off, I'm like, you guys tell me whatever you want to clean this up, however you want it to sound. I'll do it 10 times. It doesn't matter. I want you guys to feel good about it because I'm honored to be able to do it.
Yeah, that has to be odd, like just doing voiceover without having a partner to like just spare with. Like you're just in a booth reading and like doing your voices. Like that must be something odd, at least trying it the first time.
Well, it was a little different, but they've done an unbelievable job with the cadence. They gave me a reference the first time, and from that point on, before episode 1, since that point on, I'm not even doing it in booths. I'm doing it in hotels. I'm doing it everywhere, which is crazy. Yeah, I prepare me for everything and prepare me. So I'm doing it everywhere you hear this. I'm all over the country. Well, I'm in New York, Atlanta, Denver now, like Seattle, wherever I'm at, I'm doing it to knock it out. And I feel really good about it. They feel great about it. And I look forward to watching when they put their magic together. It's almost like an artist, and then you have the producer who brings it to life. And obviously they're producing it, but they really bring it to life. So it's really, really cool.
I think you add a lot of life to the show as well. Like it's something I could definitely see you becoming like a voice of something of like shows that need a narrator. Because I think at the end of the day, it's about finding your niche as well. One thing being a broadcaster, but if you could be the voice on several of these programs, that would be a wonderful addition.
Yeah, my wife was joking with me and called me James Earl Jones. She's like, "Oh, now you're the voice." I like it. So that was funny, but it's funny you say that because when I was just in New York, maybe 3 weeks, a month ago, whenever it was, I was in a gym playing, and there was a voiceover coach, and he hadn't even seen Chasing History yet. And he's like, "Your voice, you could do voiceover work." I'm like, "That's funny you say that. I'm working with the NBA right now on Chasing History. You'll hear about Chasing History in a second." So it's really cool, and it's how things come to life. I always thought my voice was just my voice. I can't really hear myself, but it's amazing because I actually get a chance to hear myself being a narrator, if that makes sense. It's really cool.
Now, you being a broadcaster as well and a former player, I think there's an interesting discussion to be had in regards to how you talk about the game. Like you're one of those guys who actually look at the current generation. You're very celebratory about them. You're like, you see the skill level, you see the devotion to the game, and you're complimentary. There's a lot of former players that are not necessarily as complimentary, who are very critical of the current generation. How do you balance those things, and why do you even think there is that sort of gap sometimes between like former players and newer players?
That's a great question. I think for me, ever since I was a kid, the game was always the main thing. And I have to give BJ Armstrong, one of my mentors, before I even got in the business, he said, when you get in this business, if you just keep the game the main thing, then just follow the game. You don't have to get into your friend if he's a player or somebody you don't know and he's a player. Just follow the game. The game will guide you. And I've always kept that to heart. And to answer your question, I think at times there's a disconnect. Absolutely. And I think at times an older generation player may say, yeah, like Shaq, for example. Shaq's not a hater by any means, but Shaq has a different way of going about challenging somebody. And I've grown to know that by working with him the last couple of years. And his way is like, yeah, I may say it this way. It may come out harsh, but I'm really just asking him to step up. And then when you do that, I'll say, hey, you did it, and that's Shaq's way. But then a younger player may hear it differently. And they may say, hold on, this guy did it. He played. He knows the 5 games and 7 nights. He knows the travel. He knows all the things that come with being a pro. And what's interesting about me, and I'm not saying this to toot my own horn, it's just that I played so long. What's interesting about me is that I'm in a sweet spot as far as being able to bridge the gap. I played 20 years. So I played against Stockton and Malone, and I also played against Luka, right? So it's like that gap, I have relationships with both. Lenny Wilkins is somebody who's a mentor. Mr. Bill Russell, rest in peace, was a great mentor for me. But I also am talking to Paolo Banchero and DeJounte Murray. You know what I mean? So it's like I cover so many different generations, and I'm right there in the middle. So to some guys, I'm the little brother. To some guys, I'm the big brother. And I feel like there's a certain responsibility with that. So I always try to make sure, everything's communicated. And it's amazing how communication can help relationships and help, figure out things like that.
Now, see, you just brought up Paolo and DeJounte. Those are Seattle guys, and so are you. That connection was not lost on me. So could you, before we wrap this up, we got to talk about Seattle basketball here. Absolutely. Just for a second, because it seems like guys from that region, Levine is also involved in that. Nate Robinson back in the day too. There's special bond there, man. Could you elaborate on why is that brotherhood so strong when it comes to hoopers from Seattle?
I'm gonna give Doug Christie the credit because he's the me under his wing first. And he was like, you know what? You have some talent. I'm going to help you. And for me, that's a pro. He's a pro player. And if I really have aspirations and dreams of making it to the pros, who better to tell me how to get there than this pro, right? We went to the same high school, and he took a vested interest in me as far as teaching me the right way, showing me how to work, how to be in the best condition, how to be in the best shape, and just what to work on. And it changed my life. And so for me, when I made it, I was still attached to that younger generation. I'm always in the community centers playing. They see me all summer long, but they also see me on TV. So I'm like, you know what? I want to do this for this generation because I know what it did for me. It helped. Without Doug Christie and Gary Payton doing it for me, I don't think I make it to the NBA. I'm just being honest. I probably don't make it to the NBA. And so when it changed my life, I said, I want to try to affect as many lives as possible. And all those guys you say carry that same mindset. And it's almost like it's not the crabs in the bucket mentality. It's almost like the baton. Like, here, Doug, you got it. You pass to Jamal. Jamal, you got it. You pass to Nate. Nate, you got it. Pass to B. Roy, and so on and so forth. And it continues on down the line. You pass to DeJounte. Pass to Paolo. Pass to, Jay McDaniels, whoever it is, and Isaiah. And that's what makes this community special.
Which only underlines once again how the NBA could really use another team in Seattle, because it seems like the interest level has never wavered or waned even after the team moved.
Absolutely. And think about this, and this is something that's kind of lost on people, right? Because in LA, they have the Lakers and the Clippers. In Dallas, they have the Mavericks. In Atlanta, they have the Hawks. We've had so many pros since 2008 when the Sonics left. Go look at how many pros we've had from the state of Washington since 2008 with no NBA team to be as a reference or to be the fuel to push you. So I think that is a credit to the guys in the community who have came back and continue to help raise this next generation.
Jamal, thank you so much. I know you have a busy schedule ahead of you. Thank you so much for taking the time. It was great insight from you, and take care, and congratulations on the success of Chasing History. You're doing great, my man.
I appreciate it. I'm glad you enjoy it, and I'm having a ball with it. I look forward to the next episodes for sure.
Definitely will. Have a good one, and have a great weekend.
You too. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Det var Bosseren, og tusind tak, fordi I lyttede med. Det var første afsnit af det her lidt kortere bosserbeater-format. Og ja, der skal pilles lidt ved det, det er jeg godt klar over. Jeg håber, at I vil have en tålmodighed med mig. Det der med at sidde solo bag en mic, det er ikke rigtig noget, jeg har gjort før. Så lidt tålmodighed vil jeg gerne bede om. Jeg håber, det er i hvert fald noget, I kunne bruge. Det kommer til at være et format, hvor jeg snakker lidt løst og fast omkring kampe og nyheder, og jeg går ikke kun 24 timer tilbage, jeg kan også gå lidt længere tilbage. Det kan også en gang imellem bare være nogle kuriositeter, jeg bringer op, som jeg måske gerne lige vil snakke lidt om. Og hvis det er et program, I kan lide, så må I meget gerne gå ind og støtte det ved at downloade og dele med en ven. I kan også gå ind og støtte på tier med et valgfrit beløb. Det er til hele Boss & Bitte-projektet, ikke bare de her små afsnit. Til jer, der allerede støtter, tusind tak for det. Det er noget, jeg værdsætter helt vildt. Indtil vi snakkes igen, så pas rigtig godt på jer selv.